Hi. uh, so I've been thinking lately, and I've realized that what I think in my mind is way more elaborate as compared to what comes outside when I'm actually talking to people. And I thought that I'd upload at least one more video or try to upload more videos and try being more articulate. So, this is my loquacious attempt to become more articulate by actually practicing talking more outside of my own head. And the topic of the video that I thought would be perfect for this is Anna Karenina, since that is the most recent book that I finished. And I was a bit disappointed. Initially, the title of the video was going to be that Anna Karenina, and I hated it or some shit like that. But I, at least as of now, I have decided to make it a clash between desire and duty, because I was talking to someone and they mentioned this point that Anna Karenina, the entire work Anna Karenina actually hits upon, and it's a very beautiful sentence that summarizes the whole plot. And also that while researching for this video, while talking to other people, while discussing with others, I sort of started to appreciate it a bit more than on my own personal read. So the gist of the book is that it revolves around happiness, as everyone says, although I personally believe that it revolves around unhappiness and various ways people make themselves unhappy while trying to be happy. Which brings to mind that famous saying, I don't know by whom, but it goes like, happiness is always a byproduct and it's never the goal. All characters, and there are so many, try and chase what they think would make them happy, whether it's complying by family or letting go of their own individuality, or is it by being rebellious in the name of love and going against society. Everyone in Petersburg is chasing pleasure, beauty, and romance, and everyone like it's a nice contrast to. So Petersburg, everyone is chasing the superficial life, and no one has a sort of inner anchor. It's more of a westernized Russia, as Tolstoy himself wanted to portray, from what I believe. And there's a contrast from Moscow, which is more, you have a slow moving life, as you see from Levin's point of view, because we'll get to how Levin is actually the protagonist and not Anna Karenina herself. So Moscow is more slow moving city. It has more peasants. It has a more older Russia. It has the essence of Russia that is supposed to be preserved, while Petersburg is, as Tolstoy himself goes into saying, that is more westernized. So I asked some friends of mine what their review of Anna Karenina is, and this is one of the reviews that I got. I love how everything was subtle and you can see a lot of things not through actual words, but rather through little actions, horse rallies, and the very frustration with life and choices. How Anna was dealing with kids. Overall, I adored the way how main characters were mirrors to each other. It was realistic and at the same time in some ways shocking. In the end, every family was unhappy in its own way, which is which is a homage to the first line of Anna Karenina. And it really, a lot of good points were mentioned by this person, where things that I did not catch on my first read, first and only read, is that the main characters were mirrors to each other, especially Anna and Levin were really, their stories running parallelly. Their characters themselves were very similar to each other if you think about it. So it further goes into the inner workings of a man in society, how different people with different choices have to live out their life based on the role that they have selected, and how they have to maintain that mask. Whether it's a mask or not, you have to choose for yourself, but they have to maintain that persona to remain a part of the society. And that goes that becomes very difficult for Levin along the way, because he really does not feel like he's fitting in any place at all, not religiously, not socially. He does not like any of that. And the one thing that I felt like he did like was the slow pace Moscow lifestyle. You could see other things like the consequences of one's actions and choices, and how easy it is to get lost in the voices without knowing it. You can see Anna's downfall as the main thing, because one beautiful thing that is noticeable is that Anna's character isn't written badly in terms of language and character, but the reader has to come to their own judgment when her actions lead her to become a more depraved, and the reader himself or herself starts to condemn her. Like though I personally, now this is again a personal opinion, that I did not enjoy that. Obviously no one would, but like I did not enjoy it from that particular timeline was that she doesn't transform. All she does is descends and never reflects upon it. Like her tragedy doesn't teach anything, it just exhausts me personally. She had turned away from her inner life and staked everything on passion, and when that passion dimmed, so did her soul. Anna's love for Vronsky was entirely aesthetic and emotional and had no moral or spiritual basis to it, which I really hated going through, because the entire book was revolving around different forms of love, uh, different forms of emotional attachments. But in contrast to works by Dostoevsky that I have read, there's still a more anchored form of love. The love is not just for aesthetic and decorative purposes, but love is for oneself, to give and not to expect any return. And that moral basis was absent in entirety of Anna Karenina, at least for me. And one strong thing that was revolving around almost every character, including Levin, I would say, though this might be a controversial statement, is that there was a lot of pretentious personal growth, which is actually dangerous than just being bad, because at that time the person is actually thinking that they are being good, that they are actually improving, and which is not really the case, right? There is something universal in Anna's quest of whether we want to remain or break free, but it did not seem to me that it was her breaking free from society. It just seemed to me that her actions were just guided by irrationality and jealousy, and rather than having her own family, having her own position in society, she left even her child behind to pursue a love that she herself knew was aesthetic from the beginning. Moving on to Levin's character, Levin is actually the insert for Tolstoy himself. And his journey is actually supposed to be the protagonist's journey in the story, with Anna's life going in the background. Though I had an issue with how Levin was just portrayed as a simple-minded man and did not really go anywhere. The entire book, for me, just felt like Levin is just confused. And I suppose that is a realistic character, but he seemed a bit too simple for me. Levin's existential angst also ends with a vague piece, but it's not. It's just vague. It's not a meaningful revelation. And when a character's choices are driven by vanity or escapism, I disconnect. That is just a personal statement. I didn't hate the book. It is obviously beautifully written, and I can't. Anything even bad I say about it won't have any meaning. But this is again just my personal opinion. But some of the things that I did really appreciate while researching was the symbolisms that are used in this book. Starting with the trains that Tolstoy uses. As you can see, their trains obviously have a very big role in the book. And trains are supposed to represent the Western influence entering Russia, and how strongly Tolstoy himself disliked that. And thus, Anna's fate was also sealed by a train. Vronsky's horse is another symbolism, and how that is a symbol and early foreshadowing for Anna and the cycle of pride. Tolstoy had finished War and Peace at the time, and he was inspired by witnessing the fall and death of a society girl. I think she was his neighbor, and he thought to write about, and that is what he exactly did. And all of these things, especially knowing where the writer himself is coming from, as I talked about earlier about Dostoevsky, he was actually in, I believe, Siberia for 4 years, and before that he had to go through a mock execution and so on. So these writers have gone through very difficult times to actually produce such beautiful works of art, and that is always appreciable. Though I'm a bit disappointed that I wasn't able to appreciate Anna Karenina to the extent that I would have liked to. Maybe it was overhyped for me, but yeah, it will be a bit upsetting for me that I didn't really get to grasp all the subtleties and appreciate all the characters to the full extent.